I know that when we were working on decks for the Standard Pro Tour in Dublin, that Eric Froelich was very hot on Mogis' Marauder as being a potentially powerful card for black aggressive decks. And you see it here in Jackson's list.
Oh, yeah. This is very much from the Owen Turnwald school of mono black. This list has been floating around a little bit ever since he talked about it right around the time of Born of the Gods release. It never has gained mainstream, wide adoption or anything, but it has been the deck that has used the much hyped Pain Seer and the Mogis Marauder, being used to good effect, and most importantly, the linchpin of the deck, the card that brings it all together, Herald of Torment.
Yeah. So you see a turn 1 duress here from Jackson. Looks at a hand over on Aaron's side that's 4 lands, a Fiendslayer Paladin, and 2 copies of Madcap Skills. So pretty soft opening here for Aaron. Jackson's on a mulligan. But a really solid hand, also containing Lifebane Zombie.
Yeah, Lifebane Zombie, quite excellent, particularly when on the play, so you can actually hit that Witch Stalker on time, if it comes to that, or in this spot, the Fiendslayer Paladin on time.
So
this is looking real good for Jackson.
Yeah, Aaron has just drawn 2 lands here, so this Lifebane Zombie could be really powerful.
Lifebane Zombie is very effective.
We see Celestia Charm and Boros Charm have been draws.
Yeah, I mean, he really needs a hexproof creature to get this party started. And it looks like right on time.
There is Witchstalker off the top for Aaron.
I mean, this is big. That was literally the best card he could draw in this spot, right?
Yeah. And there it is. So now Jackson must race. Plays a second copy of Mutavault.
We're going to see a Mogis Marauder. We are. So this is 5 points of damage with Herald of Torment threatening next turn.
So Jackson's pretty well suited to race as long as Aaron doesn't find something like Unflinching Courage. Although Aaron does have quite a bit of damage in his hand.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the fact that he's got the Boros Charm, Celestia Charm combo, I mean, once he throws a Madcap Skills on this creature, Madcap Skills is 6, that knocks Jackson to 14. Next turn, the combo is threatening 16 more. This is secretly a 1-turn clock, which means he's going to win by 1 turn if Jackson can't defend himself. So explosive. This Naya Hexproof deck is capable of just such big wins out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first attack of the game for him, and he's threatening lethal next turn with the combination of cards in his hand. Wow, Boros Charm really is an incredible element of this hexproof strategy.
Oh, it does so many powerful things.
Now, what do you think about a card like the Mantle, the Dragon Mantle? They're not playing it, of course, but could they?
I don't think there's enough red man. There's so many green-white duels in the deck, and even some basic forests in a lot of these lists. I don't think you can go that far.
Gorecoin Rampager means he's even more set up to take advantage of double striking. Interesting.
Now, Jackson does have some tools to block here. He does have access to multiple copies of Mutavault in play that he can throw in front of this creature, but...
Problem, though, even if he blocks, he's still dead if he only blocks with 2 creatures, right?
Yeah.
Because that'll be... Oh, no. 2 creatures would be 8, 16. No, so he actually does live if Aaron has nothing else.
And there's Herald of Torment.
Well, that's what he needed to do, put down enough defense to not die this turn. He is threatening lethal. Now, one possibility, of course, is for Aaron to attack Celestia Charm, his own guy, and eat both the Marauder and the Herald of Torment. And now he's only facing 7 damage. As long as he doesn't take any damage from his own lands, he's got Jackson actually in a reasonable, he's got a reasonable plan. He can beat the board.
Yes. There's so many variables in this game depending on each player's draw steps and what they're trying to play around, though.
Now, do you think he does the double strike as well? Because if he does the Celestia Charm and the double strike, he'll knock Jackson to 3, but he won't have the Boros Charm as an option anymore. But are you gonna do better than just getting 8 damage out of the Boros Charm?
Yeah, and furthermore, there's the issue of, you want to make sure that you're spending all of your resources, so if you draw something expensive and relevant next turn, you can cast that. So the last thing that Aaron wants to do is die with cards in his hand.
And it looks like we are going to see the combination.
There it is, Celestia Charm and Boros Charm.
Now, one other possibility was to just use the Boros Charm for the indestructible, but I don't think you're getting, like, the Celestia Charm here provides just so much damage, you know?
Yeah.
Like, immediately Jackson is down into a spot where he is facing looming doom.
Takes a draw. It is Devour Flesh.
That's enormous. Wow, the swings back and forth.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Incredible. Very wisely doing it while Aaron is tapped out, not getting greedy and waiting for the fear of Celestia Charm coming down.
Yeah, something could happen. If you're going to do it, make sure you do it right there, because you would not want that to get mucked up, as Jackson adds Rakdos Cackler as well.
Now, the problem here is that even if he produces a blocker, he's facing 6 points of damage. I think Jackson's going to tie it up. Devour Flesh, we talked about this. This is this deck's Achilles heel.
Yeah. And here comes a lethal attack from Jackson, and
we go to game 3.
Wow. That was a really sweet game.
Well done. Definitely
that was a good one.
Done. Now, is there anything else that we're going to see besides Devour Flesh and Duress? Is it possible the Desecration Demon is a thing, just to have a giant body?
I think it's a little bit too slow. I actually don't think it's unreasonable to bring in his single copy of Whip of Erebos here.
Oh, sure, life gain.
These are 2 ships passing in the night for the most part, outside of the occasional Devour Flesh or maybe a Celestia Charm being used as a blocker. Aaron's not going to really kill Jackson's creatures. Jackson's going to have an opportunity to build up a board, and if he gets in one good shot where he plays Whip and attacks for a lot, that might be enough to swing the race.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's going to have to, he's going to be looking to board out 8 cards anyway, with the ultimate price, 4 heroes downfalls and 3 Bile Blights. So with 8 cards needing to come in, 3 Duress and 2 Devour Flesh are pretty obvious, but the remaining 3 cards are probably some combination of, one, the Whip sounds like the next best option, and then either Desecration Demon or Erebos, God of the Dead. Erebos does gain a little bit of value when you're all permanents. You take out all your spells and you're just almost all permanents.
This is true. It's probably not that challenging for Jackson to fulfill the devotion requirement because, again, his board's not going to be really contested here.
Yeah, but then again, you're absolutely right. It's not at its best when you have to block with it, and they have stuff like Celestia Charm, and it doesn't actually, the card draw isn't particularly valuable.
Yeah.
But Desecration Demon or it, either way, just trying to fill in for some very mediocre removal.
Aaron keeps it 7 and Jackson goes back. This is a matchup where I feel that Jackson has to mulligan fairly aggressively, as most of his normal draws that are just a curve of creatures, if Devour Flesh isn't involved, that's just not going to get it done against a good 7-card hand from Aaron.
Wow, I mean, what do you make of this? 2 Naya Hexproof decks, 13-0 between the 2.
Very few Devour Fleshes in the field. That's I think what a lot comes down to.
This is awesome, seeing Standard be so dynamic. I mean, there's no question next week the Devour Fleshes are going to go, they're going to be climbing quite a bit. However, this week was the perfect week to strike for Naya Hexproof.
I actually think that another card that I expect to see an uptick in popularity is 1 or 2 copies of Far and Away in Esper Shells, because that card is also just pretty good against Green-Red Monster and Jund Monster style decks to begin with.
Yep.
Unsummon plus Edict against a deck of all 4 and 5 mana threats is very good. And the fact that it provides extra utility here might be a card that's bound for a resurgence. You see Aaron lead off with the Scout.
It's interesting. If there is that much more Devour Flesh and Far and Away, it makes Blood Baron of Vizkopa a worse card.
Yes.
And when Blood Baron of Vizkopa is worse, that slightly hurts red-green a little, actually. because red-green normally preys on those people.
There's a lot of moving parts.
Oh, yeah. First blood, blade cover. Is it just me, or is it a little ridiculous how close Stomping Ground and the
Trust
Temple...
me. Hallowfound and Temple of Alignment. Go back to Ravnica, the original Ravnica block. Look at the number of dual lands and bounce lands that look the same. I mentioned this before. This is my crusade against their art direction. As you see Jackson here with a Thoughtseize, reveal Selesnya Charm, Gorkland Rampager, Ethereal Armor, 2 copies of Voice Research, no white mana yet for Aaron.
Wow, this could be potentially real bad if he doesn't draw white in the next 2 turns.
Jackson takes the Rampager. Has a second Thoughtseize.
You think he's going to take the Ethereal Armor?
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the path. The other path he could have taken was take Voice, and I feel I can win a game against your pump spells. But once he takes the Rampager, I think he's on committing to he's saying I can win, against your Voices, but it's the creature enchantment plan that I'm worried about. There's 2 different paths that those Thoughtseize allow him to take.
Yeah. And while he is putting a little bit of pressure on Aaron, it's actually, all things considered, not that much. I mean, he just blasted himself. Jackson down to 14, thanks to paying 4 life to have that information.
And there's Herald of Torment. The biggest guy on the block right now.
What do you think? Maybe that Glade Cover Scout is supposed to jump in front of the Herald? I mean, the Tormented Hero.
I think there's a reasonable argument because you don't need the second one really.
Right, exactly.
Maybe he wants it as Edict protection because he saw Devour Flesh last game.
I don't know if you got that luxury though. Like you're kind of light on mana, and but I bet we see it this turn.
Tormented Hero, and the Whip of Erebos is in Jackson's hand.
Doesn't have the 4th mana yet, but when he does, stuff is going to get real.
But Jackson in a fairly commanding position right now.
Wow, this is huge. And he just gets in there for 7.
There's Mogus's Marauder coming across, giving Intimidate and Haste to everything.
That is not a legal block.
Yeah, nothing in block, as they also have Intimidate. Another white card off the top for Aaron and Boros Charm.
The struggle is real.
And there's a concession.
Extends the hand.
Jackson Knorr, 2-1 over Aaron Key playing Naya Hexproof. Mono Black Aggro, another fringe, even a more fringe option than Naya Hexproof. In this matchup, if you're talking about your established decks versus your unestablished decks, Jackson's deck certainly the unestablished deck here, and he advances to 7-0.
Wow. What a great weekend for seeing the format evolve a little bit. We've been seeing a lot of successful decks do well, but as the day's been going on, it looks like the ones rising to the tippity top so far have been some of the upstarts.
Yeah.